Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I am Mark, and this is the Gurus and Game Changers podcast. Well, they say if you want to be successful, you have to hang around successful people. And as a former celebrity personal assistant and now premier celebrity concierge, our guest today, Tarra Stubbins, has not only been up close and personal with some of Hollywood and the music business's A-listers, she's the person working behind the scenes to make sure they stay successful. And she's taken what she's learned on what they do and, more importantly, what they don't do, and has created a business and is centered on, in her words, empowering people to take back control of their calendars so they can create the lives they've always wanted to live. And she's spoken all over the world, delivering on that promise. So welcome, Tarra Stubbins. Hey, welcome to Gurus and Game Changers. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Looking forward to hearing the stories.
Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here.
So I want to go back to, I know you're not essentially doing this as predominantly right now, but you began your career by helping famous musicians as they toured the world, like people that people have heard of, like the Rolling Stones, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kenny Rogers, Nickelback, Kiss, Beyonce, just to name a few. So can you take me back to how it happened, like the story? Like, I know you said that you showed up one day in your first job and, I don't know, it was like, Johnny's sick today. Okay, Tarra, can you do it now? No clothes, let's go. Is that, so tell it better than me.
Yeah. So I'll take you all the way back to the very beginning. So when I was younger, I had a shirt that said, "Remember me, I'm going to be a star." And I wore that shirt everywhere. It disintegrated. I wish I still had it today. But the problem is that in my very young, undeveloped brain, being a star was being a rock star. And I have zero musical talent. I can sort of play this guitar behind me.
Yeah, I was going to say, guitar.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like a dying animal most of the time, but I can like strum a couple of tunes. I can't dance, I can't sing. So I kind of thought, well, darn, like there goes my entire dream of my life. I guess I'm not going to be anything. And I like threw that dream away. But for some reason, I held on to like 0.0001% of it. I don't know why. I tell this story a lot and everyone's like, why did you hold on to it? And I really don't know, but I did. And I walked around with it, every day in my figurative back pocket. And some days, weeks, months, years would go by where I would totally forget about my dream of being a rock star until I came to those like pivotal moments in my life where I had to make those like decisions, those crossroad moments. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I wanted to be a rock star. Still can't sing, still can't dance. But I did get to actually go out and support some of the world's most famous rock stars. So I got to live the rock star lifestyle, just not actually performing and singing. So as you were saying, yes, I was an intern at a local shop that did a lot of like technical aspects for tours. So like lighting, sound, video. They did some smaller tours and they were doing the Kenny Rogers casino tour. And one of the guys that was going out, his wife actually went into very premature labor. Ooh. And they needed someone to hop on a bus. So I did. I was free labor at that point since I was an intern.
Yeah.
I had my parents ship me my clothes to the city that we were going to next. And obviously I didn't know how to run any lighting like I was supposed to, like the guy was doing, but I jumped in where I could. So I was literally the grunt of all grunts. I was getting coffees and cleaning dressing rooms and just doing all that bare minimum. But it was my first taste in the real world of rock and roll. And I absolutely loved it. And I could see that I could really provide value and help the rock stars and the crew and whoever it was just be able to feel comfortable and to be able to perform the best performance that they wanted to perform or that they could perform just because of the little things that I could do behind the scenes.
So like you must have been pretty good at it, right? Because you did it for Kenny Rogers and then it bloomed from there. So what happened? So you're working with him and he's like, damn, that girl's really good at bringing me coffee. Like, yeah, like,
how
you know,
does
like,
that work, right?
Yeah,
How do you
like,
progress to
and
get
somebody
to
else
become known?
asks, do you know somebody who's good at giving, like, I'm sure that wasn't
Right.
all you did, you know, for sure. But so how does that progress into like all of those other rock bands? Like, how do you meet Mick Jagger? Like, I'm sorry, I need to know these things. Beyonce, Red Chili Peppers, like, how does that happen? Does someone give your card out? Like,
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a world of cards. The rock and roll industry. It's all about who you know and who you meet, and it's all about. It's really, you can be really bad at your job. It's just if people like you and your personality, and if you are a go-getter, if you will say yes, I'll do it, and then figure it out later. I learned that on my first tour. The people who were complaining and saying, oh, I don't know if I can, or no, there's no way I can bring you 17 cups of coffee in 3 minutes. You know, things like that. It's the people that figure out how to do it. They're the ones who are going to get farther in the business. And I truly, truly had and still have a passion for helping people. And it's what drove me to say yes to absolutely everything. I absolutely loved it. I've always said I believe I've been put on this planet to help others succeed. And I could see it from that one moment when I was like, getting 17 cups of coffee in 3 minutes instead really of stressing about it.
That's true story.
Yeah, it is. Instead of stressing about it, I really, really loved it. And it was like a challenge to me, you know, how can I make these people happy? There's another story I'll tell. So later on down the road, when I was out on the road with the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger always wanted his hotel rooms painted a very specific shade of beige. And now Rolling Stones fans will always throw in the joke, well, didn't he want it painted black? So I will pause there for everyone to laugh for that one. I've heard that one a million times. But every single hotel room he wanted painted this very, very dull shade of beige. And there was this one time we were in what was then Mumbai in an extremely expensive hotel. And he was staying in the presidential suite. And on the wall was gold leaf wallpaper. And I am sure it was ancient, thousands of years old gold leaf wallpaper. And we took that down and we painted it beige. Then we put it back up when he left. But
wait a minute.
So like all these crazy things.
How in the world? Yeah.
So how, I'm just curious, did you ever ask anybody, why is that important to you? Like, why is it necessary that you have to have a beige wall?
Do you ask that question? It's really good.
Take it down.
Yeah.
People ask me that question a lot. And I learned very early on in my career that you never ask rock stars
I knew that was coming.
why.
I know it. You never ask.
They do some crazy stuff. You just don't want to be involved with it. So you just nod your head and go with it.
That's the thing. You
but
just
I can
deadpan.
make assumptions.
Yeah, like you just look at him. Like, so is it Mick? It's not Mick Jagger asking you, right? It's the assistant or something. Somebody like, or does Mick say to you, "Yo, is the room painted beige yet?"
Right. Does it come from the celebrity?
That was like part of his kind of riders. So to make him comfortable in every room, we had to do this. He also loves dehumidifiers. Everywhere he goes, there's dehumidifiers everywhere on him. So I don't know. They're like, he walks into a room. If he was in your studio, for instance, you would have to have 6 dehumidifiers in there.
Wow.
It was crazy. But yeah, it was just these things. I'm because I've been around rock stars for so long, I can make assumptions. And it was like habits and routines. That's what really drives successful people. Okay. So I'm not saying that you have to go paint your hotel or your walls in your house, you know, beige to be successful. But it's just, what are these little things that people can also call them sometimes superstitions? Like, what are these little things that can create a habit, a mental habit of you being able to walk into your office or, you know, wherever it is, so you can feel how you need to feel, so you can then go out and create the best darn work that you can. So Jagger liked his hotel rooms painted beige because, again, this is an assumption, but we were on the road for well over 300 days a year. That's a long time away from home. Yes. So he really wanted it to feel comfortable, to feel like something that he could control. so he could go in and feel comfortable. Again, I don't want to know what he does inside his hotel rooms, but I kind of know, but I really don't want to. And be able to perform the best darn show that he ever wanted to every single night.
That. That's a real positive way of spinning what could be like something outlandish, right? You're thinking like, they just want to feel comfortable. Like, I really like that. So you were out on the road, and was there other stars that made you do, I'm sure, that made you do things like that on their riders? Like paint. I've heard like, you know, J-Lo, there's some, I forget which celebrity it is, only can have certain color M&Ms in the room, and I think Beyonce can only have room temp water, or like, you know, you hear about like, you know, celebrity riders and stuff like that. But I love the way you look at it, that it's just something to help them feel comfortable when they're on the road.
Yeah, the whole rider thing, like picking out the brown M&Ms, started with Van Halen a long time ago, when they were getting frustrated that people weren't actually paying attention to the rider. So they were only reading like the top 3 things. So they asked for people to pick the brown M&Ms out, so they knew that actually there was things being paid attention to. So I think sometimes people think that people are just being horrible individuals by asking these, but it's what makes them feel comfortable. Like Beyonce knows that her voice doesn't hold the high notes when she has like cold vocal cords. So that's why she likes room temperature water. There's a ton of celebrities out there who actually sing on stage, who really like to have, you know, throat coats and things like that before they go on stage. And it's not them being difficult. It's just them being able to help with their performance.
That makes perfect sense to me. So, okay, so you're out. I know I could belabor this point. Like I could talk about this for another hour, but I know you don't want to do that. Sorry.
It's fun though.
But you were on the road for a while, and then you decided that's enough of being on the road. So then you transitioned over to more of a personal concierge, where you helped celebrities sort of organize their lives, right? So, but there are still some things in there that I thought were kind of, I don't know, in my mind, seemingly outlandish. Like they're not on tour. But there are things that people ask for, and tell me if I'm wrong with this. I just, you know, I was looking sort of at some of your old videos, or like articles that you wrote. So one of the things was Madonna hires a DNA team to pick up every skin particle and hair follicle she may have left behind in hotels, which I guess I appreciate, but, you know, seems a little out there, right?
It does, definitely does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, don't know why, but
that's what she needed. And then Justin Timberlake, he sprays vodka on his clothes in his closet, which I think you worked with him on Closet Organization. But that's a really, tell people about that.
Yeah, so vodka actually helps with like getting rid of moths. But what we did and it also helps with wrinkles as well, which is actually really cool if you don't have a steamer.
There's a logic to all of these crazy requests.
Yeah.
But with Justin Timberlake, it was before, like when he was a bachelor, and he had a 2-story closet, and he heard that Elvis had archived all of his clothes. So he wanted to do the same, being also from Memphis. Huh. So we went in and we archived everything. Like he was on Ellen a lot, and Ellen gave away Ellen underwear a lot, Ellen branded underwear. And we went on, we archived like 27 pairs of Ellen underwear. Wow. And like the famous denim denim suit he wore with like Britney Spears and all of these things. So And when you archive everything that's in his closet,
are you just writing it down, or are you doing special things to the clothes, like preserving the clothes as well?
Sometimes like he would wear the clothes, so we wouldn't do special things to it. But other times, if they were old costumes or things that he cherished, then we would actually preserve them in boxes, glass boxes and cases, so he could still see them, but they were preserved forever.
That's crazy.
Like Elvis's jumpsuits.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. And then Sandra Bullock, everybody says she's so kind. Sandra Bullock, you were talking about how she not only lays out her clothes the night before, but she also lays out her makeup, which to me, I have like one set of makeup. Like I can't imagine having different sets of makeup for each day. But so would you have to go into her world and lay out her makeup for her? Like, how does that work?
She actually did that herself. She is such a down-to-earth person. She likes to do so many things just herself. So, but a lot of these tricks I would get from just watching what they would do. So no, I wouldn't necessarily have to do it, but I would see their morning routines or because I was always fascinated in why others were rock stars and I wasn't, I always really wanted to know why and how they became a success and maintained their success. So I was like a sponge I still am, to every celebrity that or successful business owner that I am around, because I just am so fascinated in how, a lot of people say there's 1,000 books out there. You have to wake up at 4 a.m. You have to work out 12 times a day. You have to eat 3 meals a day. You have to read 20 pages of a book, like all of these things. But what I was noticing is that a lot of these celebrities, they all do different things throughout the day, but they are all a success. So I really wanted to know what actually made them a success.
I love that. That's exactly the way I am too. I'm a sponge, and that's like why I'm asking you all these questions, and I want to get to that about you too. Then you also you worked with Lady Gaga too.
I did. Yeah, I did a couple of not tours but shows with her. So was definitely backstage with Lady Gaga multiple times.
Fantastic. And so, like, for a personal concierge for Lady Gaga, same thing. Just made sure her stuff was where she wanted it. The rider was taken care of.
Yeah, we did a lot. Lady Gaga likes a professional cuddler. So that was one of the things that we had to source for her.
How do you find a professional cuddler, and how do they not fall in love with her? I'm sorry. I have so many questions here.
They're out there.
Yeah, don't ask why.
Okay, but, don't ask why.
Yeah. We found one, which was great. So she was comfortable before she went out on stage, which was great.
Wow. Okay. I would probably say, can I just be your professional cuddler? Like, I would probably like sign up for the job. Then Gwyneth Paltrow, like, there's a lot of people who don't, for some reason don't love her, and I love her. I'm fascinated by her. I'm sure she's nicer than people make her out to be, right?
Yeah, it's interesting with celebrities because they all, in my opinion, they all have their good days and their bad days.
Sure,
and
they're like us.
And they all say some stupid stuff in public. Same with us, right?
Yeah.
Just more people are watching them. Yeah. So I find that people like take like one or two things, or even like they can turn their opinions and thoughts into weird ideas as well. But like I always think that the celebrities can be hard to work with, absolutely. And Mick Jagger, Gwyneth Paltrow, there's a ton, pretty much everyone that I've ever worked with, it has difficult moments,
right? And
can be difficult. And I just think it's just because that's what they're used to. Like they're used to people saying yes, and it doesn't make it okay at all, but it kind of just goes with the territory.
Okay, I just only have 2 more questions about this, I swear. I'll let you move on from this thing. But so did any of these celebrity requests, did you ever say no to one of them? And if so, what was it?
So I never said no. However, there was one time where very, very early on in my career where I didn't get the right thing for them. So I was asked to go and get, part of the rider was the singer wanted Pop-Tarts, and he wanted he wanted blueberry and strawberry Pop-Tarts. And I went off to the grocery store, and I was, going through the other things on the rider, and there I got to like the Pop-Tart section, and there wasn't blueberry and strawberry, but there were raspberry. So I called his manager, and I was like, how important are these Pop-Tarts? And he's like, don't worry about it. I don't even know why they're on there. He doesn't even eat them. Just grab whatever and come back. There's other things to do. So I went, cool. So I grabbed the combo pack of blueberry and strawberry, and off I went back. And just before the show, I was in the dressing room, and I was, just making sure everything was okay. And I heard screaming behind me.
Oh, no.
And I looked, and just in time for a Pop-Tart to be thrown at my head.
No.
So I ducked, and hit the wall behind me. And I left, and I actually left. I was like,
Good.
I'm not going to work for this person again. So I learned 2 lessons. I learned one, that obviously my time is extremely valuable and I'm going to pick who I want to work with. But I also learned that I probably shouldn't have called the manager and asked. If it was me, I probably would have gone and found the Pop-Tart at another store, just because that's what I do and who I am. But so I kind of put my own destiny in someone else's hand, which I learned not to do.
And you learned raspberry's not an appropriate substitute.
But that was the only time. Was that the only time you had something like it? Because I know it's not like celebrities are going to be like, oh, you're doing such a great job, Tarra. Like, you've gotten all of the things we need. It's only going to be when something is not the way they want it to be that they're going to, you know, criticize you or like, you know, confront you. So that's got to be kind of difficult.
Yeah, you learn to have a pretty thick skin pretty early on.
Wow.
And cherish the good moments.
Not take it personally.
Were there good moments of like a personal connection that you had with a client or with a rock star, sat you down, you became good friends? Any of those?
Yeah, so I learned again early on that to be successful, I couldn't really be friends with them. You had to really keep a very professional relationship. Right. So I never wanted to go out for drinks with anyone or go out for dinner. I would, take them to dinner, make sure that they had their special seat, and then I would leave. And it was just the only way that I knew how to keep the professional relationship just going as an actual professional relationship.
But did you have a favorite?
Yeah. Well, I spent the most time with the Stones, so I love them to this day. I still talk to them. Keith Richards is just a sweetheart. I didn't get to work with him as much as I would have wanted to, but the Stones are definitely where my heart is for sure.
Wow.
And actually, Mick Jagger did play matchmaker for me and my husband. So I have him to thank for that as well. Yes.
Oh my God. Wait, okay.
That's a rare story.
I just
right
found
there.
some other things that I had in here. Do you mind?
Go.
Okay. So, sorry. So you said you spent an entire night cutting and sewing Lululemon waistbands into no-name brands of underwear.
Yeah, so that was another learning experience for me. So I was at the Toronto International Film Festival, and which is a massive film festival in Toronto where all the celebrities come. And one of these A-list celebrities, one of the requests was he wanted like 25, I think, to 30, something like that, pairs of very specific Lululemon underwear. And so I went to the store, and it was a long time ago, so we would actually have to go to the store.
Right.
There was no Uber that would help us.
Right.
And they were like, oh, no, we don't have any. And I was like, great. So are there any like around? Can I drive to another store? And they were like, nope, we actually don't have any. They're completely sold out. I was like, oh, great. So I didn't want to be defeated anymore, like the Pop-Tart incident. So I decided that I was going to buy another kind of brand of Lulu or style of Lululemon underwear with the like waistband that said Lululemon. And I was going to go to another store and buy the specific like boxer brief that he wanted of like cheap, like, I don't know, Calvin Klein underwear. And then I cut the Lululemon waistband out and sewed it into the other one. And I was like, there you go.
That's fabulous.
I don't think he noticed. I don't
That's
know,
a big question.
I mean, what? 25 pairs of underwear. Like, how long was he at the Toronto Film Festival? I mean, it seems like, or does he need, whatever.
You didn't have underwear thrown at your head, so he probably didn't.
I didn't. I learned.
Other things like in the middle of the night, you went out because you had to watch you had to buy a specific TV because this.
That was also for TIFF. Yeah,
for TIFF.
Yeah, they wanted a larger TV in their room. They had to have it at like 2 a.m. So we had to open up a store and get the large TV and have it installed.
Easy.
At 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm. 2 a.m.
You had the store reopen.
Yeah.
You found the owner, you opened the store, you had it installed.
And then another thing at 2 a.m. that she did was find a comb for a client who couldn't sleep because she thought she didn't have her comb.
Yeah, she left her comb in New York and she couldn't sleep. So we had to go find another comb. But at 2 a.m., it was actually really hard to find the specific comb. And we didn't do a very good job. But we calmed her down until more stores opened, where we could then go find.
Tara, don't you just shake your head sometimes? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So the last thing
I have to go open a store.
It's crazy. And then, so this is what I'm wondering. Your turning point, and I don't know if you're still doing these types of things. You might be, but you talked about having to sanitize a toothbrush in a hotel dishwasher.
That was my big aha moment. Yeah,
that was the moment, because that was the inciting moment when you were like, okay, enough is enough. I'm sanitizing toothbrushes. Who was that for? I think you said it was for some. I don't know if you can say.
No, I don't think I've ever said who that was.
Okay.
I don't think I can. But
we won't ask you. We won't ask.
Yeah, it was this rock star. His crazy request was that, or one of the multiple crazy requests, that every time his toothbrush traveled, he wanted, so every time it came out of a suitcase, he wanted it to be sanitized in a hotel dishwasher. Wow. So I would have to go downstairs and go to the back of house and ask for the toothbrush to be put through the industrial dishwasher cycle. And a lot of people are always like, why did you do it? Why didn't you just run it under hot water and say you did it? And I was like, that's a good question. I don't know. I just
he might have
did
checked.
These things.
Who knows?
How would he know? I guess ask the staff if I went down. But a lot of times the staff would know we were coming, because it was a request that happened for years and years and years. So it wouldn't be a problem. We could just have the toothbrush sanitized. But then other instances, we would have to explain that this toothbrush had to go in the dishwasher. And this one time we were actually in Shanghai, again, a very expensive hotel. And I was in the back trying to put this toothbrush in the dishwasher, and it wasn't going well. I didn't speak their language. They didn't speak English. There was no translators around. And they were looking at me like I had 3 heads. And I just remember that it was probably one of the most awkward moments of my life. And I was standing there with this toothbrush in hand thinking, there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
And I realized at that moment that I actually truly, truly do love and wanted to still help people succeed. I just wanted to help more than one crazy rock star at a time.
Right.
So I finished the tour, I came off the road, and I opened up my personal concierge business so I could help more than one crazy rock star at a time. So I still help rock stars, just more than one for that. So yeah.
And you started your business, which is amazing.
So let's talk about your business. So what was the goal? I know your goal overall was to help people, right? You said I was put on this planet to help people.
So why?
Through what channel were you hoping to help people the most, based on your experience with the Rockstars?
Yeah, so when I opened up my first business back in 2007, I really just wanted, all I knew was helping crazy celebrities. So I wanted to help more high profile, high net worth individuals save time in their busy lives. So I became a concierge / lifestyle manager for multiple homes, multiple properties, multiple people. But of course, people kept calling me I was in Toronto, and people kept calling me from LA and Nashville and Vegas, and I would have to fly all over the place. And I was thinking, I feel like I'm still doing what I was doing before. Right. But it's actually interesting because I had zero business background, had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And I Googled, as we all do, how to run a successful business.
Yeah.
Back in 2007, there was no ChatGPT or anything. People were still putting ads in Yellow Pages. And I thought, maybe I'll put an ad in the Yellow Pages. That's what people are doing. That obviously didn't go anywhere because celebrities aren't reading.
They're looking at the Yellow Pages.
The Yellow Pages.
That's funny.
So I really had to tap into my network and to really be able to learn and grow. But as I was doing that, there was I remember the first co-working space opened, and I was so excited to join a community where I could be surrounded by other people like me I didn't think that there was anyone else out there. They were hard to find. And so I volunteered at the front desk. I was at like every single event, and I started realizing that these like younger entrepreneurs, and not necessarily younger in age, but just younger in experience, were growing their businesses really well, but then they were starting to fail at a certain point, and they couldn't really get over that hump. And I realized, because of my executive and personal assistant background, that it was because they didn't have that strategic help that they needed to really get over the hump and get to the next level. So that's when I actually created the next business, which is Take It Easy Group, where we are a team of executive assistants and really helping small scaling companies grow with all the experiences that I've learned out on the road, and kind of been a sponge to all of those celebrities of how they've become a success and maintained their success.
And you said that at some point in some of the research, we saw that you said that celebrities tend to manage their time differently. They're kind of forced to manage their time differently, but that there are some proven successes that they have had as a result of the way they manage their time that have translated to how you're helping people.
Yeah. So as I alluded to before, when I was, again, and still do, help so many celebrities, it's always fascinating to me when a new one comes out with a book, and then we all kind of read that book. Like, I think it's Matt Damon who gets up at 3 a.m. and works out, and then he like has a very specific smoothie, and then I think he works out again, and then he does
Marky Mark too. Yeah.
Is it Marky Mark?
Marky Mark.
That's who it is.
Yeah. He worships at a certain time. Yeah. I think that's it.
Yeah. So, and then we're all like, oh, we have to get up at 3 a.m. to be successful. But I've worked with a lot of celebrities who don't get up until noon, and they're still a great success. They are rock. Yeah. And they're still a great success. Or, some people, their only thing to be a success is they want to smoke 6 cigars a day, and then they feel like they have that habit and they can be a success. So I think us trying to, again, Google, how to be a success, or best time management, or what do celebrities do, and then trying to follow it along with our lifestyle and what we're building as entrepreneurs, or whatever our goals are, personal, business related, whatever they are. And trying to like follow along with these celebrities. Every celebrity is actually different, but they have 3 very specific things that all of them that I've noticed follow. And the first one is, as I was kind of talking about before, is habits. So celebrities and successful people build habits. So whether the habit that you want to build is getting up at 3 a.m. or getting up at noon, or working out, or making sure, if you're building a business, sending 100 cold emails a day, like whatever that habit is that can help you get to your end goal. And that's specific and really important. So knowing your end goal, and then knowing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, is it actually really driving results? So, maybe your habit is to lose 20 pounds. So what are you your goal is to lose 20 pounds. So what are those habits that you're building? Are they actually related to losing the 20 pounds, or are they kind of wasting your time? So celebrities do that a lot. If they're training to lose a lot of weight, or to get really fit for a role, or to go out on a tour, then the habits that they form are completely different than when they're off tour and they want to spend more time with their family, or, start another kind of, not hobby, but creative interest, or whatever it is. So people always think that the habits have to stay habits like forever, but they can ebb and flow depending on your lifestyle.
I like that. That's really cool. And so would you call
one.
that, sorry, you have more?
No, she said there were 3.
Yeah, there's one more.
There's 2 more, right?
Wait, what were the first 2? We have
Two
First
more.
one, build a habit.
First
build
is
a
habit.
Build a habit. Second one is...
So I have a question for you. Would you say, either of you, that you are multitaskers?
Oh, I knew this was going to come up because I saw your stuff.
I am 100% a successful multitasker,
You are
despite what all
multitasking.
the research says.
Everybody that we've talked to recently despises multitasking, including Eric, our studio tech. I understand both sides of it.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like I
yeah.
multitask, but I really try hard not to do that because of that. I read what you were talking about in terms of the 15 seconds in order to switch to the next task. But I feel like there's just always so many balls in the air.
You have to.
You know? So wait, go ahead. Tell us about multitasking.
gonna tell us we're wrong.
Yeah, come on.
So obviously you've heard because people have
Yeah.
been talking, but there's actually no such thing as multitasking.
Oh,
So the human
Tarra.
brain, the human brain can only think of one thing at a time. So what we may be thinking is multitasking, we're actually just context switching really quickly. And it's actually making us exhausted. The human race, society is extremely exhausted right now. And it's because we're trying to do too many things at once. I do this. I'll put on a movie or a show on Netflix and I'll scroll on my phone. But what am I actually doing? I'm not paying attention to either of them. And I'm exhausted at the end. I fall asleep. So, and it also takes us longer to do both things that we're trying to do, or we don't do both things well. So people will say, well, I can talk on my phone, hands-free, and drive at the same time. But are you actually paying 100% attention to the road? Can you say everything that you've driven past and, you know, all of the turns in the road and all of that? Probably not. Yeah. Can you say absolutely everything that has happened on the phone call and recall? Probably not. Right. So, you know, you're not doing everything at 100%. And there's actually a math equation that's thrown around in Hollywood a lot. And that is 20% plus 20% plus 20% plus 80% doesn't equal 100%. Okay, sure. What does that mean? Well, if you concentrate 20% of your efforts over here and 20% of your efforts here and 80% over here and 20% over here, then like, how are you actually getting anything done?
That math doesn't work. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I don't think that works.
Unless it means you're giving 140% and everybody else is giving 100.
I feel like we give 140%. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So that's where time blocking comes in. Is that what you're saying we should do?
That's where time blocking comes in, but focus. So I work with, as I alluded to before we were recording, I have the privilege of working with Drake. And I don't know, I'm probably going to get fired for saying this, but I don't know if he is the best, like most talented musician out there, but he's definitely one of the most famous. So, and why? And I believe it's because he is the most focused and goal-oriented person that I've ever met in my entire life. Yeah.
Say more about that. What is it about his focus? Like what does he do? He's just hyper-focused on one thing at a time?
Hyper-focused. So he has his goal of being, you know, whatever his goal is, like making sure that the album goes to multi platinum or whatever he wants. And then whatever he does and whatever he gets his staff to do or the people surrounding him is all 100% focused on that end goal.
Wow.
And if it's not, it's wasted time. And that's why I believe that he is the one that has gone on from 𝗔𝗯cie to this multi-bazillion-dollar superstar. And no one, like everyone else started at the same place.
Right.
And it really is, like if you think of athletes are good athletes, train their brain and their body to be 100% focused on their health, their mental health, and their physical health. And their training. So they are concentrating on two things, mental and physical.
It keeps coming up. It keeps coming up because I just watched this documentary with Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett that I talk about a lot. There's time when the interviewer asks them, what is the number one thing that you need in order to succeed in business? And they both separately wrote down on a piece of paper and picked it up and it said focus. Both of them at the same time.
It's wild.
Said focus. So
it's wild.
There's something here.
Yeah.
The universe is telling us we got to focus more, Mark.
Well, it's not very hard to actually be successful. And the really only thing that's separating a massive rock star and a billionaire from the person who is struggling is that the person who's struggling can't get over those like hard times. So this task is boring. I'm tired. I don't want to work out in the morning, because that's your goal of, losing weight, or like there's all these like internal things going on, and it's really hard to get over that. But focus, I'm 100% focused on this goal, and these are the habits I'm going to build to make this focus. You're going to be a success. The numbers show it.
And then what's the third one?
The third one is creating your own motivation. So, and again, it's what I was kind of alluding to before. Yeah. So a lot of people will think, well, it's easy for Drake and Beyonce and Lady Gaga and everyone else to be focused on their goals because they have millions of dollars and they have staff and they have all of that, but they didn't before. So we have to think about that. And so how do we create our own motivation so we can be Beyoncés of our own life, or the Drakes, or whatever it is? And we also have to realize that our goals aren't, silly. They aren't too big, too small. They're all personal. So one of my absolute favorite quotes of all time is, if anyone ever tells you that your dreams are silly, remember there's a millionaire walking around who invented the pool noodle. And it's true.
That's good perspective.
I love that. Who said that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. It's anonymous. I don't know who said it, but it's it's one of my favorite quotes, and I quote it all the time. And people always told me that I was silly, trying to think that I was going to go out and follow rock stars around the world, just being this like young girl from Toronto. And if I could do it, anyone can do it.
You just got to get on the bus, right? You got to get on that first bus.
Wait, can I talk about that little girl for a second? Because I love all this conversation. I want to come back to SOAR too, which I think is fantastic. But when you were a little girl, so how did you come to be, right? I know you love origin stories too, but I love to find out how successful people, or people who like manifest their dreams like you have, who supported you? What were your parents like? Did you have siblings like in Toronto? Like, what made you you?
Yeah, everyone always thinks too that like an origin story has to be like rags to riches, or you were born, rich, but I was kind of just born middle class in a normal family. Mom and dad still together. I have a brother who is 9 years older than me. So I think that kind of helped me, again, like create my own motivations, create my own goals, because I was kind of an only child. I wasn't, but he was so much older than me. I had the luxury of going to a private school. My parents worked very hard to be able to support me to go out to that, but I was always pushing boundaries. I was always the person who was always asking, why, or I got kicked out of the private school once because I didn't wear like the right hair ties in my hair because I wanted to.
Okay, now I'm getting
again,
you.
Like push boundaries a little bit. We always had to wear black, blue, or red hair accessories. So I wore sunglasses, but like they didn't like that, like as a hair tie thing. And anyway, it was a whole thing. So I was always like pushing those boundaries and always being that creative person. My dad was a DJ on a radio station, local radio station for classical and jazz music. And I would always go with him and help him. He would record concerts he would then play live on air. And I would always go and help him like coil up the microphone cables and all of that. I loved all of that. So that's where that side comes in. And my mom actually owned Entrepreneurial, and my dad actually followed into the business. A young like nursery, kindergarten, private school.
Interesting.
So they were, and they always thought that I was going to take over the business, and but no, I had enough children of my rock stars. I didn't need any of the roles that they were helping.
But let me ask you this too. Like, so I know it just seems like you've had success after success after success, but I think our audience really gains a lot when they hear obstacles that you've had to kind of climb over. And I know probably some of the requests that you got from some celebrities were tough, but was there a time when you were like, okay, I don't know what to, like when you were in the abyss and you were thinking like, how am I going to get out of this thing? Or like when you started your business, when things seemed scary or hard, I'm sure there was. And how did you climb out of that?
I feel like I have that moment weekly still. I don't know if it will ever go away. I think there's always an internal, person in my brain that always says, like, is this really the right goal for you? Can you really hit this? What are you doing? All that sort of thing. And again, I really think that it's important for anyone who is trying to achieve any goal. Again, your goal can be to be the best mom in your neighborhood or dad. It could be to be the best volunteer for like your community group. It doesn't have to be, I want to build a multi-million-dollar business or I want to be a rock star. It can literally be anything, and you can achieve it just by staying focused. And so a lot of the times when I would, again, it happens to me weekly where I second guess myself, or I run 2 really big businesses.
Yeah.
There's always people problems. There's always
love them.
Yeah.
They're tough.
There's always problems.
Right.
But I always think about, what's my big goal? What am I focused? Like, why do I want to achieve this? And just like, this is why I'm going to keep doing
I think
what
entrepreneurs,
I'm doing. And it's always helped me get to that next stage.
It's a rare breed, an entrepreneur, right? Because you have to, you fail almost every day.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of know how to pivot, and you have to kind of be fearless. Like, I think this is why we're entrepreneurs, because, you're a certain type of personality.
Yeah, you just have to expect it.
Yeah.
You have to expect the rolled up in a fetal position.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point.
Right?
Right?
I was just there this weekend. But let's move on to SOAR. So it wasn't that long ago that you launched SOAR, right? And you talk about how it's a community for executive assistants who are struggling to find their network and their community, because it can be a little lonely to be an executive assistant. I kind of wanted to look into that a little bit. So when did you feel lonely? Like, and how did this community come to be?
So as probably any EA or PA will tell you, it's a very, very lonely job. So even out on the road, surrounded by all these rock stars and hundreds of thousands of fans a night, you're very, very siloed in what you're doing. When you're doing it, sometimes you're like the only one up at 3 a.m. All of these things that you're doing, even executive assistants in traditional office space or office roles, they, sure, everyone comes to them in the organization. Sure, they know everyone and touch everyone in the organization, but like they can't talk about what they're doing, and no one actually understands what they're doing on a day-to-day to really help build in momentum and grow businesses. And so I've always thought about, and it's actually another reason why I wanted to start Take It Easy Group, was not only to help small businesses grow and succeed, but it was to also create a community of executive assistants that felt supported, so then they could go out and help the small businesses grow and scale and change the world. In my opinion, small businesses are the ones that are actually changing the world.
Yeah.
So SOAR came to be because we wanted to actually grow that community. I can only hire so many people through Take It Easy. And I wanted to be able to leverage my network of all the millions of people that I've been able to reach and just be in my network, being out on the road and being surrounded by so many successful people, and really help these amazing executive assistants either find their place in the EA world or PA world, or grow and be heard. I think being an EA, people always think that you just schedule and like answer phone calls or something, but there's so much more to the role. So also educating the public in that.
What's the PA? Is that production assistant?
Personal assistant.
Personal assistant. Okay, sorry.
You're straight from the studio.
My bad.
Right?
Yeah, I had a production company, and I'm
That's your
like,
world.
PA, that's PAs.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So what is that online? Like, how do people find you?
Yeah, so we're SOAR with Ty, so SOAR with Take It Easy.com. And if you're interested in joining, we're a monthly membership club that is just all about networking and really supporting everyone. Again, in my opinion, or not my opinion, I know that I am never going to be able to cure cancer or stop the world's energy crisis or stop world hunger. But I know that there's probably someone out there who can. And if I can support them in the back end of being able to help them, then I can change the world too. And I want to be surrounded by all the executive assistants and personal assistants that have that as well.
Right.
That goal as well.
Same mindset. Hey, before we go, I'm going to take a step back to the 3 pillars that you outlined earlier.
Good job, Mark.
One was habit forming the habits and engaging those habits. The second one was focusing on your goal. And Mark, you're a bad multitasker. I heard that very clearly. And the third was...
No, it's not no judgment.
No.
You got to do you.
And the third was creating your own motivation. And I agree with all 3, 100%. I agree with all 3. You and I bonded on a fourth one in a prior conversation about either being held or holding yourself accountable. And I said to you in one of the exchanges, this world is replete with life coaches giving advice. And I don't know that there's a single accountability coach, somebody who just says, this is what you're doing
That's cool.
tomorrow at this time, and I'm holding you accountable. And too often I think we look to our partners and our friends and our family and our kids and whatever to say, hey, make sure I do this. But that's not the right accountability partner because of the connection. You need someone else. So talk a little bit about that, because I know that's a big part of sort of the mindset that you bring to your business and your clients.
Yeah, it's all, again, about creating your own motivation. So if you can't create it yourself, it's about actually finding someone who can hold you accountable to create that motivation for you. And again, the only thing that's stopping us from being massive success is that we just have to do the thing. So we all know how to live a healthy lifestyle. We all know how, like, all of us could be massive fitness pros. All of us can be, whatever it is, we know how to do it. We just don't. So whatever your goal is, and make sure that you are very clear in your goal. It can't just be like, I want to be rich. Sure, we all want to be rich, but like, how do you want to be rich? Like, what is your goal? And then have someone hold you accountable. So yeah, it's hard to ask friends and family to do it because they're trying to reach their own goals. They get busy, they get distracted. So having somebody, we actually do this with SOAR as well. If your goal is to get a raise or a promotion as an executive assistant, then let's hold each other accountable. So we actually do the steps, do the thing, so we can actually get that promotion. And then celebrate the wins. So accountability is huge in whatever you're doing. And a lot of times we can't get over those internal blockers ourselves, and we need someone to just push us past it. It's actually interesting. There's a stat out there that says only 10% of what stops us is actually external blockers. So a lot of times we'll blame the outside world. So we'll blame people who distract us in the office. We'll blame social media. We'll blame, maybe a non-supportive spouse, or we have 4 children, or whatever it is. But actually that's only 10%. The other 90% is all our internal triggers.
I believe it.
Yikes.
I believe it. It's interesting also on the motivation side, and you talk about the secrets of motivation, but it's in vernacular, people say, I can't find the motivation. I can't get motivated. But I agree with you. It's not external. It's something you have to create. When we were kids, it was external. Your parents picked you up and made you walk. You had the motivation because your dad is on the other side holding his arms out, right? At some point, you have to become your own mother, and you have to tell yourself, here's your motivation, and you have to stick to it. But I know at some point you were talking about the secrets of motivation. I don't think it was this conversation. I think it was a prior exchange that we had. Is there a secret that you tap into for your clients?
So again, a lot of us will sit back and wait for that lightning strike moment to happen. So
which it did for you.
I'm going to launch this business when I'm feel motivated and when it's all ready and when I can go out and do it. But that lightning strike moment is probably not going to happen. So again, we have to create our own moment. And I like to do that with people who are really struggling with small wins. So motivation is actually a buildup of like a lot of really small wins and really small successes all rolling into one till you create that big lightning strike that you need. So again, if you're building a business, let's make a habit of sending 100 cold emails a day, and let's actually check those off. And when we can check those off for 7 days in a row, we actually feel really great about ourselves.
Yeah.
So we're creating motivation, we're building habits towards our end goal. We're kind of doing it all in one. If you're really struggling with that, I always like to say, get up and make your bed. I don't care that your bed is made because it's clean or it's a good thing, but it's actually something that you can do and succeed at every single day. It's easy. So you can check that off your list. If you can do that for 7 days in a row, again, you're creating your own motivation. And then add something else to it. A lot of us will try to do 1,000 things at once. Today, I'm going to create my motivation by sending 100 cold emails, making my bed, working out for 20 minutes, like all of these things.
That's Mark's every day.
But it's not going to work. It's not going to work, right? Starting small and creating those little moments where you can create your big, big moments of success.
Yeah, it's consistency. Like we hear this all the time. Like it's
when the fire goes out,
10% brains and 90% consistency. Like
just keep going.
It's why habits are so important too, because when you're tired or when you don't know what to do, you're going to go to what the habit is. Yeah. So if your habit, again, I'm just using 100 cold emails a day as an example. It's not really what build business is. But anyway, if your habit is to get up in the morning and send 100 cold emails, and you actually make that a habit, when you're tired, when maybe you're traveling and out of the norm, you're going to probably send those 100 cold emails.
Yeah. Wow. Well, because I've always said with habits, it takes something that you would define as something I do and turns it into something that you are. Right. So I don't need to worry about how I feel about doing it because it's just who I am. I get up and I work out. In the same breath as I do not smoke, I do not drink, I work out. It's not something I have to plan to do. It's just part of my day. I agree. The Power of Habits is a book, but the power of tapping into habits, right? To manage your time and manage your success and your focus and everything else. That's amazing.
It all seems so easy, right? But when you get doing it, it's hard. And it's those internal triggers that you really, really have to get just over the hump. I think, I can't remember who said it, but someone said that 99% of the population is okay with being mediocre. And it's true because it's easy being mediocre. So if you want to be just a little bit better than 1%, you just have to kind of fight your way to actually making it an easy habit. I get up and work out.
Yeah.
Ah, that's fabulous.
That sounds like a David Goggins quote.
Totally.
It definitely does.
Oh my God.
I think it might have been Tim Ferriss.
It could be Ferriss.
I could be wrong.
Yeah. He's always quoted on this podcast. People talk about Tim Ferriss a lot. Yeah. He's fantastic. Well, what else do you have? I mean, I could talk to you all. I could talk to you all day. You want me to ask my favorite question?
I want to hear. Okay. I want to hear what her answer is.
Okay. Question I love to ask people is, what is something about you that pretty much no one knows at all that you can break here on this podcast?
I'm an introvert.
Really? No one knows that.
Yeah. No,
are you an adjusted?
I hide it.
Are you an extrovert or introvert?
It real well.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm an extrovert introvert. Yeah.
You've had to adapt.
I would rather have 0 friends and spend all my time with my 6 cats than
you have 6 cats?
Talk to people. I do have 6 cats.
That's awesome.
And you talk to people for a living.
That's wow.
And I talk to people for a living. Yeah.
I get it.
Do you have to put on your Sasha Fierce like Beyonce to do your talks to people all day?
I don't, but I definitely have to I have to again, create my own motivation in the morning. One habit that I have built that is really important for me is that I get up early, and not because I think that successful people get up early, but because it's a quiet moment where no one is pinging me, no one is asking for me, no one is anything. The world is asleep, so I can be quiet, be in my own head, focus, and then really be able to put on my outside world and go talk to people for the rest of the day.
So I am going to be probably pinging you Sorry. No, I think
5 o'clock tomorrow.
I think you're so fantastic, and I've just enjoyed this conversation so much. And I hope I didn't harp too much on the celebrity stuff, but I'm kind of into it.
No.
I think it's
You could
great.
talk
Look,
more about that if you wanted.
and well, maybe we'll have to have you come back. I don't know.
an all celebrity discussion.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd love that. But so, how can people find you, and where do we send people so that they can have more of you?
Yeah, so the easiest way is takeiteasygroup.com. You can also find me on Tarra with 2 R's, Stubbins.com. I'm on all socials. You can just Google my name, Tarra with 2 R's, and I should pop up.
Nice. And what's the business that you think is going to be the one moving forward? Like, what's next for you? Like, what are you just going to keep growing these, or?
So the big end goal for Take It Easy is to be able to invest in small companies and then be able to plop in our all of our services, all of our fractional services to really help the companies grow and scale in the models that we know that work.
Ah, fantastic.
I have no doubt she's going to be able to do
I know.
that. I look back just listening to this conversation, the fearlessness of getting on that bus is sticking with me.
I know.
In that moment, taking advantage of the
Without
opportunity,
any clothes.
getting on that bus, right? Just like, this is what I want to make happen. This is my opportunity. I'm getting on the bus. Like figuratively and literally getting on the bus. And then all the resiliency and the resourcefulness that you had to show in those moments of go find me a TV at 2 a.m. Incredible traits, incredible skill set that you have.
Do you still have that T-shirt?
Do you still
Want
have
to be a rock star someday?
No, I don't. It's like really disintegrated.
We might have to send you one.
I know. My mother always had a very bad habit of if shirts or pants had too many holes in them, she would throw them out. So
sounds like a mom.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well,
we can't thank you enough for joining us. This
Yeah.
has been phenomenal, engaging, and just really useful. I love it when somebody comes on and can share things like this that we can all immediately take and put into use. And it was just a great, fun conversation. So thank you so much, Tarra.
Thank you, Tarra.
thank you. Thanks so much for having me.